For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications.
Welcome, everyone. Okay, let's dive right into this. Today, we're breaking down the absolute foundation of Python programming. We're going to master the 5 core fundamental data types. Whether you're a total novice trying to wrap your head around variables, or an experienced coder just looking for a rock-solid refresher, honestly, understanding how Python handles data behind the scenes is your ultimate key to writing bug-free code. So here's the quick roadmap for our explainer today. We'll start with the fundamental data types, move into integers and floats, tackle complex and Boolean types, check out strings and slicing, and finally wrap up with typecasting.
All right, part 1. Let's kick things off with fundamental data types. So, the absolute crucial point here is understanding the difference between fundamental types and collection types. Think of a fundamental data type like a tiny box that can hold exactly one single value per variable. That's it. No more, no less. And there are 5 of these little boxes in Python: integer, float, complex, Boolean, and string. We usually contrast this with collection types, like lists or dictionaries, which can hold multiple values all at once, kind of like an array in Java. But hey, today, we are keeping our scope laser-focused strictly on those 5 single-value fundamentals.
Moving right along to section 2, integers and floats.
Now, what's really interesting about this is just how flexible Python actually is. I mean, everybody knows an integer is a whole number, right? But the Python integer data type lets you represent an integer in 4 distinct base formats. You've got your standard base 10 decimal, but if you prefix a number with 0b, Python immediately reads it as base 2 binary. A 0o prefix, that makes it base 8 octal, and 0x gets you base 16 hexadecimal. Under the hood, Python just magically converts all of these into standard decimal integers, but having this built-in flexibility is honestly incredibly powerful for system-level programming.
Then we have the float data type. These are basically your numbers with decimal points. And Python handles exponential notation brilliantly. Say you define a float like f equals 1.2 e3. That e literally represents 10 to the power of whatever comes after it. So that's 1.2 times 10 to the power of 3, and the output is exactly 1200.0. This is an absolute massive time and memory saver when you're dealing with incredibly large scientific numbers in your code. All right, section 3, let's get into the quirky ones: complex and Boolean types. Now, if you come from an engineering or high-level math background, you really need to pay close attention here because this is a major gotcha. A complex number has a real part and an imaginary part, right? In traditional math, we always use I to represent the square root of -1. But in the Python complex data type, you absolutely must use the letter j. Writing a equals 3 plus 4j is perfectly valid. But if you try a equals 3 plus 4i out of habit, Python will immediately throw a syntax error. No way around it. And the quirks of complex numbers don't stop there. Python has some pretty strict rules about how you format them. The real part of your complex number, well, that can actually be represented in any of those 4 integer bases we just talked about: binary, octal, whatever you want. But, and here is the strict rule, the imaginary part, the number attached to the j, is strictly limited to standard decimal values. Try to pass a binary value to the imaginary part and your code will absolutely crash. Oh, and a handy little tip. You can easily extract these parts later using the .real and .imag attributes. Super useful. Okay, let's switch gears to the bool data type, which, as you know, represents true or false. But I want to challenge your assumptions here for a second. If you open up your Python idle terminal right now and type true plus true, what do you think the output will be? Think about it. Will it throw an error? Will it just spit back true? Take a quick second to guess. The answer is 2. Totally surprised? Well, internally, Python actually represents the Boolean true as the integer 1 and false as the integer 0. Because of this, you can literally perform mathematical operations right on them. True plus true is simply 1 plus 1, which gives you exactly 2. Along the same lines, true minus false outputs exactly 1. It's a pretty fascinating look into how Python optimizes true and false logic down at the machine level.
Moving on to section 4, strings and slicing.
So when you're building real-world applications, up to 80 or 90% of your data fields, stuff like names, addresses, passwords, they're going to be strings. The string data type is really just a sequence of characters, but Python gives you an incredible amount of freedom in how you define them. You can encapsulate a string using single quotes, double quotes, triple single quotes, or even triple double quotes. You might be wondering, why all the options? Well, if you want your actual text to contain a double quote, like say you're quoting someone inside a sentence, You can wrap the entire string in triple quotes. That way, Python doesn't get confused, and it seamlessly reads the internal quotes as just normal text. Now, because strings are basically just sequences, we very often need to extract just a tiny piece of them. This is known as string slicing. By using square brackets and a colon, you're telling Python exactly where to start and where to end. Keep in mind that Python uses zero-based indexing, meaning the very first character is at index 0. But the absolutely most crucial part to remember here is that slicing extracts from the start index up to, but not including the end index. You can even use negative indexing, where -1 is the very last character if you want to read right to left. And this brilliantly illustrates why slicing is just so beloved by Python developers. It acts as an incredible safety net. Think about it. If you have a 10-character string and you try to directly ask for the character at index 100, Python completely panics, crashes, and gives you an index error. But if you use a slice and ask for the characters from index 0 all the way to 100, Python doesn't panic at all. It just safely prints whatever's available up to the end of the string without throwing an error. It's incredibly forgiving. And finally, Section 5, Typecasting in Python. To truly understand why typecasting, which is basically converting one data type to another, is so important, we really have to look at a classic beginner bug that I like to call the input trap. Let's say you ask a user for two numbers to add together. They type 10, then they type 20. Simple, right? But the input function inherently returns everything as a string data type. So Python sees the word 10 and the word 20. When you try to add them with the plus sign, Python just concatenates them, literally mashing the words together. So your output is incorrectly 1020 instead of the math answer of 30. That's why we have to cast those strings into integers. We do that conversion using the int function, but you absolutely have to know its rules. If you cast a float to an int, Python just cleanly chops off the decimal, leaving you with a valid whole number. A Boolean true casts perfectly to 1. A clean decimal string like 10 safely becomes the integer 10, but here's the strict rule. If you try to cast a string that has a decimal in it, like 10.5, Python will throw an error because string casting specifically demands a base 10 whole number. And if you try to cast a complex number to an integer, completely impossible. Python will throw an error right back at you. So I want to leave you with a provocative question to really test what we've learned today. If Python's input function always defaults to a string, and we know that trying to use the int function on a string containing binary, like 0b1010, will throw a base 10 error, how would you safely cast a user's binary input string into a readable decimal integer in your code?